South Hills, here we are in the month of December when we get to spend Christmas at South Hills. I want to share a story with you from one of our campuses. It's about a young girl who started attending our South County campus. She had gone through multiple surgeries and there was more surgeries that she had to do. When the kids director got a hold of that information, she asked for all of her kids at her campus to write her letters while she was in the hospital. The family was so touched by all the love and support that she received during this very difficult time. This is just one of the amazing stories that we get to have at South Hills. I can't thank you enough for everything you're doing. I know at the beginning of October, I shared with you that as we approached the end of the year, South Hills was still over $2 million short with reaching the budget. And last couple of weeks, we have been praying about the big give from November 27th to December 4th to focus on giving towards closing the gap for South Hills Church. And I know today's December 4th, and there's still an opportunity to give towards closing the gap, but I want to give you a number of what we've accumulated so far in just this week. This week alone, we've accumulated $153,564. Thank you to those of you who are hearing God's voice. We've been gathering stories from people who have been stepping out in faith and how God has been transforming their hearts and changing their lives. The miracles are already happening. Our gap is down to $1,329,923, and there's still time. Today's the day. Today's the day for you to ask God what your role in this would be. I want you to listen to God's voice. I want you to allow God to speak to your heart. And I'm already excited for everything He's already done, even though I know He's not done. The story I shared with you at the beginning of this message is because of people who are trusting God with every aspect of their life, including their finances. And this could not happen without you.
We've all felt the pressure of picking the right gift for someone in particular. The process is excruciating, but the payoff is thrilling. The Christmas story tells of wise men traveling a great distance to give 3 gifts to Jesus. What would compel them to go to all that trouble, and why those gifts? What does it all mean?
Christmas is, for a lot of us, it's about receiving gifts. It's about receiving gift cards. I remember one of the best gifts I ever received. It was a cool gift. It was you might be thinking, yeah, it was probably a steak that you ate or some sushi. No, that was not one of the coolest gifts. One of the coolest gifts I received was a trip to Israel from my previous employer. I remember flying to Florida. He called me into his office and he says, hey, I'm taking all the managers to Israel and I'm taking you with me. I'm all like, for sure. When do we go? And then I'm paying for the food. I'm paying for the tourist guide. I'm paying for all the stops. I'm paying for all the hotels. I went like 5 hotel resorts because we were traveling around Israel. We visited all these historic sites, the Sea of Galilee. We walked where Jesus walked. The trip was amazing. You guys, I almost didn't make it back because my Arab friends thought I was Arab. And when I was getting back on the bus to come back home to go to the airport, my Arab friends started talking to me in their language. It's like, hey, where you going? Where you going? You're one of us. I'm like, no, I am not one of you guys. I need to come back home to my family. But it was one of the coolest gifts I ever received. And maybe you're here for the first time. Maybe you're online. Maybe you're in this room. Maybe you've been gifted a cool gift. Maybe it was a Starbucks gift. Maybe it was a store brand gift card, right? Or maybe it was a vacation. I don't know. Maybe it was a car. Anybody has been gifted a car before? Raise your hand. Oh, you guys lack faith. What? What? Carlos received a car as a gift. Man, that's incredible. Maybe you received Christmas cookies as a gift, or maybe a home or something. Or maybe you're here, you felt the pressure of picking up this perfect, this special gift for that special person, your wife, your husband, or one of your kids. But here's the truth this morning. That although gifts are not the meaning of Christmas, sometimes a gift can carry all the meaning of the world. Which, this is one of the things we're going to be talking about here at Christmas in South Hills for the next few weeks. The meaning of each of the gifts that Jesus received, which makes you wonder, right? What gifts did Jesus receive? Wait a minute, Jesus received some gifts? More importantly, what were these gifts? Were they gift cards? Were they patio sets, right? Were they table saws? Were they table saws since Jesus was a carpenter? I mean, what did he receive? So Jesus received 3 gifts that are mostly like never talked about or never thought about. So this morning, to get right into the Christmas story, let's open our Bibles, if you brought your Bibles, to Matthew chapter 2, verse 1 through 12. It's an extension or extended part of scripture that we're going to read, but we're going to read it just to make sure we grasp the entire Christmas story. And it says, Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 to 12, it says, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea, during the time of King Herod, the Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him. When King Herod heard this, he was what? Everybody say disturbed. And all Jerusalem with him. When he had called together all the people's chief priests and teachers of the law, he asked them where is the Messiah was to be born. Verse 5, in Bethlehem in Judea, they replied, for this is what the prophet has written. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For out of you will come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel, meaning Jesus. Then Herod called the Magi secretly and found out from them the exact time the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search carefully for the child. As soon as you find him, report to me, so that I too may go worship him. After they had heard the king, they went on their way, and the star they had seen when it rose went ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worshiped him. Then they opened their treasures and presented him with gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to go back to Herod, they returned to their country by another route. So the big question is here, these wise men or these magi, they came all the way from the east, right, into Jerusalem in search of Jesus. And it said that they traveled, thousands of miles to Bethlehem. And just picture this, a trip. Back then, walking or on camels from the east to Bethlehem, it would take you months. It would take you months to get to Bethlehem. So Jesus, this baby born, this Jesus, this ruler it was a big deal. It was super important. And when the story says, and when these men arrived, they bowed down to Jesus, not the mom, not Mary, or not Mary's husband. They showed ultimate devotion and honor, and they bowed down to Jesus. They opened their treasure box, and they gave Jesus these extremely valuable gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And today, we want to look at the gift of gold. Everybody say gold. Now, I just want to let you know that I've had gold in my Christmas list for every year. And I never get it. But I have so much faith, it's not going to come off my Christmas list. Now, as you might know, gold has been a benchmark of value, right, for thousands and thousands of years. In ancient Egypt, gold was reserved for the deities, for the pharaohs, who were considered to be gods among men. Even in the book of Kings, it describes how the King Solomon's home was full of gold. All the particles, all the articles of his house were made of gold. And that just took his home, and that just took luxury to the next level. And because of its high cost and its beauty, gold has always been associated to royalty. And by these Magi men traveling thousands of miles to give Jesus gold, they were saying, hey, you are royalty. You are Jesus, King of Kings. And I want you to notice something. See, these Magi, they were super excited. They were overwhelmed with joy that they were giving up gold to the King of Kings. But at the same time, something else was going on. There was another king in Israel, and his name was King Herod. And it seemed like Jesus was being born right in his backyard. And he was frustrated. Scripture said he was what? Disturbed. Remember disturbed? He was disturbed. He was frustrated. He got anxious. He got angry. He got mad. Now, I want you to know the two different reactions, right, that the Magi and Herod had. The Magi were struck with wonder about Jesus, and Herod was struck with terror. See, there's a difference in their reactions. Why would King Herod be struck with terror? Why was he paranoid? If you are a true king, you have nothing to worry about. If you were a true king, you shouldn't get mad. You shouldn't get upset. You see, as these Magi were walking to Bethlehem, they didn't come to Bethlehem looking for a baby born of the Jews. Watch this now. They were looking for a baby born king of the Jews. Essentially, they were asking, all right, we got to Bethlehem. Where is the legitimate king at? They never said, where was King Herod? They said, where is the legitimate king at? Because we're happy, we're excited, and we bring him gold. He is royalty. Now, the difference between the Magi's positive response and Herod's negative response to Jesus being born came down to one word. Put it up on the board, please. It came down to control. Everybody say control. See, Herod, he wasn't ready to allow anyone to take control of his kingdom. Just supposedly he was king. This is why he was disturbed. This is why he was mad. It was a disturbing thought to him. He wasn't ready to let control to the real King of Kings. And the Magi's were, we recognize you are King Jesus, and we give you gold, and we give you our lives. Here, take control of our lives. And you know, I think here lies a challenge for all of us in this Christmas story. Just like Herod, we don't like the fact of giving up control. Think about it. Jesus was born. He was a savior to many. He was a hero to many. Jesus, the healer, the one who can change your life. This was good news. But like Herod, sometimes even good news is disturbing because it asks us to change. Put it up on the board, please. Sometimes even good news is disturbing because it asks us to change. Even when we recognize something is wrong, something is broken or unhealthy in our life, sometimes we just still choose to keep control and leave it alone. Why? Because it's easier to deal with. It's easier not to touch it. It's easier not to seek help. Why? Because we don't want change in our lives. And you know, Jesus knew this. Jesus knew we would have a challenge, letting control, or we would have a challenge doing His will, which is why He actually told the disciples to pray in a certain way. Matthew 6, verses 9 to 10, it says this. This, then, is how you should pray. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. See, Jesus gives everyone a model on how we should pray. Matthew? It's not coming up. Matthew 6, 9 to 10, it says, I'll read it again for you. This, then, is how you should pray. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So Jesus, essentially what he's doing here, he's giving us an example, right? A blueprint of how we should pray. And it's interesting because he never says, hey guys, when you guys pray to God, don't pray like, God, can you just let me do whatever I want? Jesus doesn't say that. He doesn't say, hey, pray like this. God, I need you in this area of my life, but yeah, this other area, I don't want to, let you take control of it. I don't want to release this area of my life. So yeah, just bless me here, but don't touch this area. And when you and I pray, God, let your will be done, you know what we're doing? We're letting control. We're giving God control. We're saying, God, let your will be done. I'm giving you control of my life. And Jesus understood that this was going to be an ongoing challenge of submitting our little kingdoms to God's bigger kingdom. You know, when we say this word kingdom, for a lot of us, it's like, what? I live in the West Coast, man. I live in California. Kingdom, what? You know, kingdom could be a difficult terminology to internalize, but basically it's this. Kingdom is just a king's domain. It's the territory that is ruled by a king. And Herod, he was paranoid and terrified of losing his domain because the true king had arrived. And for Herod, all that mattered was his will. All that mattered is what he said. And here's the important and interesting part this morning. If we're honest in this Christmas season, I think we all have a little bit of Herod in us. We all have a domain. We all have an area where we say it goes. We all have an area to say, God, you can't touch this part of my life. This is my domain. I'll give you this part, but I'm not gonna give you control of this. This is my domain. For example, your body is where your kingdom begins. You tell your hand to move, it moves. Clap. You tell your mouth to speak, you start speaking. You tell your body to start go jogging, and it sits down. I don't want to jog. Some of us go jogging, right? Or perhaps your domain, your kingdom is one of the rooms in your house. Maybe it's the restroom that's your domain. Maybe it's your room that's where what you say goes. Maybe it's at work, right? It's your domain, what you say goes. See, we all have a domain where what we say goes. But let me just put it this way for you. I wonder if there's an area of your life, like Herod, that we get disturbed at the thought of releasing control of some, if not all, of our domain. Maybe for you, you just don't want to let go of, some, or how you deal with relationships. How do you deal with your relationships? Are you a good friend? Are you a bad friend? Can you keep friends? Is this something that for your entire life you've struggled with and you said, God, you could do all this with my life, but this part of my life, my friendship, my relationships, you're not going to touch. Maybe you're good at bringing distractions and causing divisions. What about your family? What about your marriage? How is your marriage doing? Is it under your domain? Is it under your control? Is this an area where we need to give up control? What about your emotional life? Are you struggling to release control of your emotions? How many of us have wasted our life in this emotional roller coaster? How many of us have just held on to these emotions that have affected the quality of our life? See, when you fail to give up, or when you fail to give up control of your emotions and experiences, there's some toxins that stay in your body. And then these toxins manifest into anxiety. They manifest into depression, sadness, hopelessness, anger, rage, impatience, or guilt. Which is why then we have these emotional outbursts. What if it's because we just haven't released control of that to Jesus? What if we say, hey, Jesus, this is my domain. Can't touch what happened to me 20 years ago because I'm still mad, Jesus. Jesus, I'm still mad that you took my mom, you took my dad. I don't have my parents. What emotions are you keeping inside that it's time to give up and release control to Jesus? What area of your life do you need to surrender and give up control? Because here is the hard and the great news in this Christmas season, that Jesus is ultimately in charge of everything you're desperate to control. Jesus is ultimately in charge of your life. He's ultimately in charge of everything you're desperate to control. See, Jesus can handle it better than we can. You want to know why? Boy, are we control freaks. Ooh, we're so much of a control freaks. But Jesus could do it better. How do we do it this morning? Take it to a Bible verse, Proverbs 3:5. It says this: trust in the Lord with all your heart. Don't rely on your own intelligence. Look at this. Is it up here? Oh, it's not working? Okay, it's not working. You guys notice that this is not working, so we have some cabling problems. That's what happens when you have a mobile church. When you have to tear down and set up, the cables get messed up, so we apologize. But let's continue. Trust in the Lord. Proverbs 3:5 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Don't rely on your own intelligence. You know why God is telling us not rely on our own intelligence? Because we as humans have this natural inclination to try to be in control of every circumstance of our lives. This is how we are as humans, which is why a lot of times we are in a chaos. We are in a mess. We carry hurt, disappointments. Our relationships aren't healthy. We're carrying these past failures because we rely on our own intelligence. See, but what if giving up control is simply saying, God, I need you right now. I think you could do this better than me. What if giving up control is simply talking to God? What if it's simply seeking God? What if it's just simply acknowledging God? See, giving up control means to stop running the show and start trusting God more. Giving up control means to stop running the show. Stop trying to run your life and start trusting God more. And here's the benefit of that. Matthew 11, if you're taking notes, because it's not coming up. Matthew chapter 11, verse 20 to 30 says this: are you tired? worn out, burned out on religion, come to me. Get away with me, and you'll recover your life. Jesus said, I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. Isn't that what we all want? Just to rest and have peace? And ultimately, controlling your domain is the enemy of peace, of rest, and God. But if you let go, God is saying, hey, I'll show you how to live. I'll give you peace. Walk with me. Do life with me. You'll live freely and lightly. My last question for you while the band, Carlos, comes up. It says, the wise men came to worship, and they came to honor Jesus with gold because they knew that Jesus was royalty. So they gave up control and chose to submit every part of their domain to Jesus. My question to you is this: are you living your life as though you are king, or like Jesus is king? Are you living your life as though you are king, or Jesus is king? See, God loves you. He wants to help you. He wants the best for you. And if you want to find peace, if you want to find Jesus, all he's asking you to do is seek him and release control. Let's bow our heads and close our eyes. Father, what a way to start this Christmas season, this Christmas story, God. God, these wise men, magi's, gave you the gift of gold because it showed that you were king, that you were royalty. Which means, God, you're king, you're it. You have control of everything. They were just saying, hey, we're giving up control of our lives. Jesus, you run it. We live for you now. God, and what an opportunity for us this morning to also do the same thing. We might not have gold, but the only thing that can represent gold in our life to you is by saying we surrender our life to you. We surrender that thing that we don't want to let go. We surrender our past, our emotions. We surrender in the way we do relationships. God, we surrender our mind, our thoughts, our own ways, our preferences, the way we want to live. God, we surrender this morning. We give up control of our domain so you could come, because we recognize you as King. Father, thank you so much. Every head bowed, eye closed. Maybe there's somebody here this morning that is saying, yes, I need to give up my domain because the way I've been living is not honoring God. Maybe you're here and you're saying, you know what, I need to stop being a control freak and just give it up, give my life to Jesus. If this is you this morning, just raise your hand. Raise your right hand. Nobody's looking at you. Nobody's looking at you. Everybody's head is down. Thank you for that hand. Thank you for that one hand that went up. Maybe you've been coming to church and you're a churchgoer and you have a relationship with Jesus, but there's something in your life that you haven't let go. There's something in your life that you need to improve. Thank you for that hand. Thank you for that other hand. There's probably something in your life that you say, God, man, I can't deal with this. Can you just come and help me? Thank you for that other hand. Thank you for those 4 hands. Another hand. See, Jesus wants to better your life. He wants to give you peace. He wants to bless you. Father, these hands that went up, God, you know their heart, you know their mind, you know what they're going through, you know what they're feeling, God. But at this moment, it's you and them. Help them, Father. As a king, you don't come to, God, just disrupt their life. You come to make it better. You come to make it better as we surrender to you. As a band sing this song, I surrender. God, thank you so much for this message. Thank you so much for those hands that went up. Thank you so much, God. Why don't we stand on our feet and sing with the band?